Hi, everyone. We have Coach Cohen available. Please raise your hand if you have a question. We can start off with Gary.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Coach, this team could have gone in a particular direction after the loss to the Rams and after the loss in Houston. Why did it go in the opposite direction? What what is it about the makeup of this team and maybe your staff that that enabled them to put that behind them and move forward and do what they've done to this point?
I think that as we've gotten closer as a team and with the staff, everybody being fairly new, that there's a lot of trying to prove it in a lot of ways, right? There's a lot of people that are first timers in some of their roles and responsibilities, and then there's a lot of guys that are have been here maybe on the team in prior years that are attempting to change the narrative and to create our own, and show that, hey man, like, we do have talent, and it's more about, there's a lot of talented teams in this league, but how you respond through adversity, how you continue to show up to work every day and get off the mat, and get off the mat after tough losses and come back ready to play. And I think it's pretty cool to see. It's trying to go 1-0 every week and see what happens. But I think our process throughout the weeks, our leadership throughout in the building with these guys, the coaches and players doing it together, I think has probably been have something to do with that. Is the collaboration between players and coaches being on the same page about where we're trying to go and what our goals are. I think has maybe led to some of the connection and belief that we've had throughout some tough times.
And was it also in the tough times, was it accountability, but not dwelling too much on what happened in the past and not playing blame games?
Yeah, that's a great point. We talked a lot about that, actually, about there's a fine line between accountability and almost self-loathe, right? Like, you put so much, like, it's one thing to take accountability, but when you start to put too much on yourself, whether it's a player or a coach, that can go in a wrong direction as well, because then you start to go down rabbit holes that anybody in life will go down when you have maybe bad things happen. And the players and coaches' ability, I think, to, all right, man, like, that was on us, that was on me, whoever it was individually, and then, like, let's just get it fixed and move on, right? Like, it's not, we always talk about trying to coach the play and not always the player, right? Like, everybody can learn from a mistake. It's not, you're not going to get benched because you make a mistake, right? Like, we also need to give ourselves grace through a long NFL season that people can learn from and grow from. I think that's kind of the important message.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to D-Rock, then to Jamal.
Hey, Liam. Trevor had a lot of success throwing in the middle of the field yesterday. It seemed to be a little bit more than maybe at earlier points of season. Was that just game plan stuff, or was that just him being a little bit more confident in the guys that he's got in the middle of the field?
Yeah, I think you guys said kind of something similar for the Chargers, right? Was the over the middle success kind of 2 weeks ago. So it's not anything new. It was just their coverages. They played a lot of cover two, a lot of to Tampa, and coverage typically dictates where you're trying to attack people. So it's like, you don't just go into a week saying we're going to throw the ball in the middle or throw the ball on the outside or throw the ball deep or throw the ball short. Coverage typically dictates, where you're trying to attack and what zones and areas of the field you're trying to manipulate. And it just so happened that they were playing a little bit more soft zone in the middle of the field that we were able to take advantage of. But to your point, I thought he was much more accurate through the middle of the field, which then allowed for some catch and runs which, we haven't had a ton of, right? Like a 50-yard pass this year is, right, the longest, I think, on the season. So it was great to have some catch and run opportunities. We still have some meat on the bone that we need to go and take advantage of, but I do think that, some of their coverages dictated where ultimately we were trying to go with the football.
And one of the Titans players, I guess, after the game said Logan Cook threatened to kill him in one of those altercations there, and that's kind of blown up a little bit. I was just wondering, your thought about whether that might have been across the line or anything, or if that's something, that just happens during games.
I've probably heard that said 100 times, from players in games. So whatever.
Thanks.
We'll go to Jamal, then to Mia.
Hey, Coach. This has been a interesting journey for you. I know the goal coming in obviously was to be playing these important games in December. Now you've seen it come to reality. What's this season kind of been like for you to kind of see how this team has grown and really be the one leading the charge the whole way?
Yeah, I think ultimately you always want to you do want a team to be essentially player-led, right? And to have leadership within in terms of how you structure the day-to-day, the scheduling, the building, the operation, all that, right? And you want the players, though, at some point to kind of take it over, and you're still in that position, but allowing them to have that freedom to lead and to be themselves and to let their personalities, continue to show, as well as the assistant coaches. Like you don't want it. You want everybody's edge and superpowers to be a part of why we have success or what we do on a day-to-day basis. And I do think you see some of the personalities be able to show, and the guys, having fun, playing with an edge. You can see Campy's personality in that defense, and that's cool to see. So, when you have players that it means a lot to them, there is something to prove. There's, an edge to our team that I think that shows up on our tape when you turn it on in all three phases. And ultimately, that's what you want as a coach. It's the best compliment I think you can get as a coach is that your players play their tails off. I would rather hear that than, man, y'all execute and have a great scheme.
And do you feel like Trevor, was that Trevor's best game of the year in your eyes?
I don't know. I'd have to look at watching it in an entirety, compared to other games of the season. I think what stood out obviously was, ball security, taking care of the football. We obviously got behind the chains and behind the sticks in the second half. A little bit there that didn't allow us to maybe open it up from a pass game standpoint as much as we would have liked to in the second half. But I think when you look at the explosives and what he was, I think on throws past, I don't know what it was, 15 yards in the first half or whatever, whatever that ended up being, that he was 6 of 9 for 125 or something, that we were just a little bit more explosive and efficient in the first half. And I thought he did a nice job managing the game.
Thanks, Liam.
Mia, then to Shipley.
Hey, Liam, I know obviously you can't really comment on injuries, but especially players that are in the concussion protocol at this juncture. But with the offensive line banged up in the way that it was going into the game, the injuries that occurred, what did you make of Wyatt at the right guard position, Cole at left tackle, your confidence in that exact lineup potentially if you need to roll with them moving forward?
Yeah, I think, we didn't play great up front, we played okay. They have some good players on their front that make it very challenging. We need to play better up front for us to continue to move forward as a team. But again, Cole stepping in multiple different roles, being the Swiss Army knife that he's been for us has been really helpful. And then Wyatt just continuing to grow. I'm sure he would like to have some plays back, and just like anybody else, but to get him meaningful reps in a division game is very important. And he needs as many reps as we can get at this point.
A little bit off topic, but if you are able to comment on your friend John Summerall getting the job at the University of Florida.
Yeah, I mean,
He'll be introduced today, so it's official.
Yeah. I've got so much respect for John Summerall as a coach, as a man, as a leader of people, of men, of players, of a building. He's got so much passion and competitiveness. He's a guy that's, obviously been a defensive coach for a long time, but he sees the game through a big picture lens in all three phases. He understands good football. He can recruit his tail off. But, I bought his house in Lexington in 2021, and him and his family are just perfect fits. They are, SEC all the way. And, I can't say enough good things about Summy. He's one of the guys I look up to actually in this profession, have a lot of respect for. And, any chance I get to talk to Summy, it'll be cool to have him here as a close by neighbor.
Awesome. Thanks, Liam.
Mm-hmm.
These will be our last two. We'll go to Shipley and then to Sam.
Liam, that LaQuint Allen play on the kickoff, have you ever seen a forced fumble really like that? And then has he kind of just summed up everything you guys talked about in the offseason, the Jaguars DNA, intangibility rich, all that kind of stuff? Yeah,
you hit the nail on the head. The play that he made was fantastic. It was a great challenge from those guys up top with John Dykema and Shane Waldron being on the screws there, because I was in a good spot, but I didn't quite see the timing of when it came out. But the effort that he made, that really that group has continued to do on special teams, led by Heath and Luke. But LaQuint just, you're right. He exemplifies so much of what being a Jaguar is and what it means. He actually was just popped by our staff meeting just now and was in there for a few minutes. So he just, the guy loves football. He loves to compete. He loves his teammates. He'll do anything for these guys. And I think that shows in the way that he plays, his effort. Everybody sees it, and it helps continue to elevate the standard of what effort actually means and playing through the echo of the whistle actually means.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Last one, Sam.
Liam, I want to follow up on what Gary and Jamal were talking about in terms of the culture that you've created there. There are a lot of very talented bad football teams, but clearly this one, with guys like Dennis Gardeck and Jacoby Myers, has looked for a specific kind of player. A, can you tell us kind of what that little bit of difference might be? And B, is Ryan Stamper involved in that in terms of, do you send him out and say, see if this guy fits into what we're trying to do?
I think there's definitely a mold of players that we are ultimately looking for and hunting up, and we have a lot of those guys in this building. That's helped us get to the point where we're at. And then when you do need to go look outside and make some of those moves, when those moves are made within players probably being intangibly rich, I think that usually is kind of something that we're looking for, right? The height, weight, speed traits is always nice to have, but for us it's more so about how much does the game make sense to them, how much does the game mean to them, and that's something that we've tried to eyeball when it comes to making some of these decisions. And to speak on the personnel side, I think James has done a great job of taking that vision, and we obviously are very much aligned on what we think works in this league, and have seen it done in LA obviously for a number of years, and we're aligned on that. So when there are opportunities to go and find some players outside of the building, I think James has done a great job with that.
And there's no question that's a big part of the decision process now. Height, weight, speed, vertical, all that. But that other little part is a Jaguar football player.
That's right. Yeah, that's the ultimate is, can he play ball, right? Does he understand football? Does the game make sense? Football feel and, athletic traits are different in my opinion. And, this is not a developmental league. It's not. Like, you got to go win now and you got to go put your best foot forward now. You don't have time to go and say that the coaches are just going to go develop these guys. So that is part of the process. We do need to continue to work through and develop as many players as we can. That is our jobs. But when you got players that football makes sense to them and they go out and you can go and rep something 1 or 2 times and they got it and you don't see repeated mistakes maybe being made, that's something we definitely look for.
Thanks, Liam.
Thank you.
That's everyone. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.